Dreamers in English,
The
please.
reason why this has been such a difficult subject for you over the past couple of days, do you feel like you can disagree with your brother on policy issues and still be loyal to him?
I'm not a big guy of going out of my way to be disagreeable or disagree with excuse me?
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not, I don't go out of my way to disagree with my brother. I am loyal to him. I don't think it's necessary to go through every place where I disagree with him. As it relates to the Iraq War, I hope I was clear on where I stand.
Governor, on the Iraq War, you mentioned calling the families that died.
Yeah.
That they didn't die in vain. Was this war worth it?
Yeah, it was worth it for those families. It was worth it for the people that made major sacrifices. In 2008, Iraq was stable. It was fragile, but it was stable. And it was because of the heroic efforts of a lot of people. And relitigating this and going through hypotheticals, I think, does no good for them.
Governor, over the last couple of days, as you've been thinking about this, how has your thinking evolved? And did you talk to your brother and ask his advice?
I think we need to re-engage and do it in a more forceful way than the president is very reluctant, for whatever reason, to make a clear commitment that we should have kept, 5,000, 10,000 troops there. There's been success since we've re-engaged. There has been some success. ISIS has been pulling back. And this is not to say that we should go it alone. This is not, I'm not proposing that, nor is President Obama for that matter. In order to build a coalition to be able to rid ourselves of this barbaric Islamic terrorist threat, I think we have to do it in the cooperation with the neighborhood. But we can't do this by remote control. We can't do it by drones. We have to be there to help train the military and do the things that's being done right now. And I believe that if we stayed the course in that, if we do, we'll be successful.
What do you think about the Pope's...
I think we should fix our immigration system and make sure that the DREAM Act kids, if that's what you're referring to, right, that they get legal status. I wrote a book about this with Clint Bolick, a great Arizonan, who's not here today, but in that book we called for that. The president's action, I think, is unconstitutional. I've read the law, and there's nothing in that law that says prosecutorial discretion, which means case by case. 5 million people is not case by case. He did this for political motivation to create a wedge issue politically. Now it's time to solve the problem, and solving it requires doing it in the legal way through Congress.
I'm curious about your viewpoint. You talked about the question on Israel, and you say we're negotiating with somebody who wants to annihilate Israel.
Well,
how do we deal with Iran? I mean, there's facts on the ground. So if we're not going to talk to them, what do you suggest? Bombing them?
I'm not suggesting that, and don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, then what do you suggest?
What I'm suggesting is that how can we negotiate in a comprehensive, and only as it relates to their capabilities to build a nuclear bomb, when they also have efforts to try to undermine the region using militias in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, supporting Hamas again, and Yemen. That should have been part of the negotiations as well. If they want a relationship with the United States and the world as it relates to opening up the sanctions, there should have been an agreement that they pull back, that they're not trying to undermine the regime. They should also recognize Israel's right to exist, and they don't. And how could it be that the leader of this country would send out in the midst of negotiations a PowerPoint presentation calling for the annihilation of our strongest ally in the region? Doesn't that bother you a little bit? I mean, doesn't that create some sense that perhaps we're on the wrong path here? There's a way. I give the president credit. I wouldn't have done it, to be honest with you. I don't think I would have begun negotiations at all with Iran until they made concessions. But having done so, you got to give him credit for doing it. But he should have stuck with what the principles of those negotiations were from the beginning. But 5 years or 4 years of negotiations, what we've seen is the United States making concession after concession after concession, and the Iranians aren't doing anything.
Thanks,
Governor, one more. What's that?
For president?
Excuse me?
Are you running for president?
I'm seriously considering it.
Governor.
Real quick question. What about the northern border?
Okay, who's next?
Thanks for Dennis, had a good shot.
I know, yeah. Doug's like right in here.
Thanks, brother.
We all got a good shot. So.
Yeah. Well, I got tickets talking about one-on-one.
Okay.
Well, we got to do lunar, and then I'll make sure our guys go to you. Not, I try to get as much cutaways as I can, but there's not much. So, we got a couple. Oh, I got them every time.
That's the main thing. And then the stuff you said here about information.
I got all that. You're good.
Okay.
That's the way I file video for, right? Thank you very much.
People representing the governor's staff are looking for the quote win-win. The question is, what's the win-win? I think that is probably the best summary I can give you. So that's where we are now? Yeah. I don't know if I told you about the meeting with the governor, but it was an hour long and he ended with, you told me about that one. Let's find options. So his staff took that seriously, and now the interaction, we have backed off because we think it's the right thing to just back off a little bit. And then the report I got is everybody's looking for creative, innovative win-win.
How active has Kirk been in this?
Kirk was in the meeting with the governor, number one. Number two, his name has come up when Barbara Meany and Ryan Harper have talked with Danny Seid, Christina, and others. And they, Danny and Christina, have represented that Kirk was looking for a win.
Okay, good.
So everybody's looking for the win-win. The question is,
very good to hear.
well, kind of like, okay, then.
Yeah, do it. No, I get it, but
The fact that